It's the first video that I make while driving. I've never done this before, so I'm going to try this out. It is August 10th. Oh, hey, happy birthday, Spartan! It's my dog's birthday today. He's in the back. He's husky. Anyways, it's my first video. 3 days ago, did the half Ironman in Boulder. Went pretty well, completed it. And I'm very happy that I did complete it. The run didn't go as I planned, just cramped the whole time, so even though running is my sport, I basically walked the whole thing. Broke it down into running, walking sections, like run half a mile, then walk half a mile, but it worked out in the end. So I'm very happy with the result. It being my first half Ironman and everything. We got another half Ironman coming up in Santa Cruz, which I'm going to start training for tonight, actually. I'm going to do a group run with the team. So more on training later. Right now it's just a bit of things that I wish I knew prior to the event and during the event. So first thing is getting enough sleep. I had a lot of trouble sleeping the night before. Ended up only getting 3.5 hours of sleep. Didn't affect me too much, or didn't affect me at all, but I didn't notice it. I think there was a lot of adrenaline, so sleep didn't really play a factor for me, although I imagine in future events it obviously will play a factor. Arriving at the event 2 hours early. So the event typically starts at 7 o'clock. I got there at around 5:30, so an hour and a half to prepare, which is great. But there was a lot of congestion getting into the event, and then actually walking to the transition areas. We had one transition area, which is good. The only transition area, but other events I gather have 2 transition areas, so you want to prepare everything you have there, and handle any business you may have, such as checking in gear, making sure your family gets whatever they need, as well as making sure your bike, your wheels are pumped, or your tires are pumped. Anything you need addressed with your bike setup is addressed, and most importantly, you need to pee and poop. That's actually a con. I needed to pee or poop the entire race, which means everything nutrition-wise worked well. What else can I talk about? Oh, I wish I knew prior to the race that even though you're not allowed to have electronics during the race, no music, no phone, no recording devices, you can have that all the way up to the starting line. So if you have family members there with you, you can actually hand your electronic devices to them right before you cross that starting line. So that's very helpful if you wanted to record anything, or you just wanted to listen to music prior to swimming. That's very helpful. Another thing that I wish I knew was I didn't have to abandon my flip-flops or slippers early, like as soon as I was walking to the start area. You can actually have those on and then give them to your family before you start as well, or friends. So that was very, very important things that I wish I knew prior to the race starting, or the event starting. During the swim, the entire swim is marked by different colored buoys, and for the most part the buoys that you need to look out for are the orange buoys. Those are the most important ones, because those are the turn buoys, and you have to be on the inside or the outside of the buoy, or else the referees around those orange colored buoys will tell you to turn around and come on the outside if you're on the inside. But other than that, the other buoys, they let you swim on either side of them. I thought by swimming outside of the group, it would be more beneficial, because you aren't in a cluster of everyone. But for me, that didn't really work out. It worked out for the first 500,000 yards, but then I got lost because once I made a turn on the second buoy, I assumed it was a 90-degree turn, but it was actually a 45-degree turn, and I wasn't with the group. So either you do research beforehand so you don't get lost, even though I tried to sight efficiently, I still somehow got lost. Or you swim in the middle of the group, which I ended up doing mid-race, so that I didn't have to sight as often. All I did was every time I took a breath, left or right, as long as I saw someone there, as long as I saw a pink cap or a green cap, pink for the female athlete, green for the male athlete, I knew I was heading in the right direction, generally. But I would definitely sight for the orange buoys mid-race. What else can I say? Transition 1. Coming out of the water. Some athletes actually had a goo in their tri-suit coming out of the water. That's actually pretty, thoughtful ahead of time. So in the next race, definitely going to use goo in my tri-suit underneath my wetsuit. So to eat a goo, we're coming right out of the water. You'll have so much adrenaline coming out of the water that the gravel on the ground is not even going to bother you coming out of transition. You're barely even going to notice it. So don't worry about that prior to the race. Your body's going to handle it. Everything pretty straightforward for transition 1. Definitely, if you're a little more advanced, you can practice what they call a running mount. Basically, your shoes are already on your tri-bike, and once you pass the mount line, you could just slip your feet into the shoes while you're riding your bike. It's something I'll definitely go over, something I haven't practiced as often, but probably go over technique-wise or watch another video of it. Definitely something to review again. Let's see, during the bike, my nutrition was on point. I took one goo every 45 minutes, and every 15 minutes I would take one mouthful of my bottle that had 400 calories in it with electrolytes. I'll go more in detail with what my nutrition plan is during the bike in a future video, but just for journaling purposes, that's what I did. I did notice, finally understood the term, it's about the engine, not the bike, and the engine being the rider. There are a lot of tri-bikes out there, but there is a handful of non-tri-bikes, just regular road bikes, and even the occasional mountain biker who passed a whole bunch of tri-bike users, even though the tri-bikes are supposed to be faster. Similarly, there were lower tier tri-bikes that passed higher tier tri-bikes with disc wheels, tri-bikes with fuller wheels, just basic stock tri-bikes passing $10,000 tri-bikes. So it's nice to see that the engine really does matter, and as long as you focus on your cycling ability first, you'll be fine for the race. Now, one thing that I made a complete mistake on, and we're not going to do this again, is I did not train in my tri-suit. For the past 4 months of having this new tri-bike, I did not have practice on my tri-suit, and for 4 months I thought my bike saddle was great. It's my stock bike saddle from Canyon, and I have been using either my bike shorts or my two-piece tri-suit, but I've never used my single one-piece tri-suit, and that cost me halfway through the bike leg, I could not find any comfortable position, and I had to break aero position for the last half of the bike leg. And not only did that cost me comfort, it also costed me speed. It also costed me muscle fatigue. It also cost me muscle fatigue, being in different positions instead of one position. So when I finally came into T2 coming off the bike, I felt cramps coming on. Speaking of cramps, even though my nutrition and hydration was on point, I completely forgot to have, per me, just a second salt pill or a third salt pill. I typically take those, but I underestimated my ability to, I overestimated my ability in my performance and forgot to take extra salt pills. So with that, I just started to cramp right off the transition, right off T2. Now let's go on to T2. So with T2, one of the mistakes that I did was not take my time coming out of T2, or actually staying in T2. I did not take my time staying in T2. What I mean with that is, when you're in T2, coming off your bike, give yourself some time to reevaluate your physical ability. For me, since I was cramping, I should have hydrated a little bit more. I did hydrate, but I should have hydrated a little bit more. Took some extra goo inside the transition. Drink more fluids inside the transition, but instead I came out of transition way too quick. And the reason I say do it in transition, and it doesn't really matter, you can do it anywhere, but once you come out of transition, your run time is going to start. And if you're going to deal with the cramps and the trying to catch up with nutrition while you're running, fine, that is fine. But if you just want to but that's going to affect your time. As long as you stay in transition, as long as you stay in T2, your run time's not going to start. So deal with that there, or future advice to myself and anyone who is watching. Deal with any issues that you have or that you think you may have for the run. Deal with it in T2 as best as you can before starting the run. That way you aren't wasting run time, because, like I said, the clock starts once you cross over the T2 marker. Your run time starts then. So, in hindsight, if I did that, I would probably technically have a better run time instead of managing everything for the first 2 to 3 miles. The run portion, very straightforward. Keep up with your nutrition during the run portion. Pace yourself. Go slow. Go slower than you typically would, as you typically would during a non-brick run, or even during a brick run. So my typical pace as a runner and as my primary sport is anywhere between 7:30 to 8 minutes. That's my typical average chill pace. When I'm coming off the bike during a regular brick, it is 8:20, and my plan for this one was supposed to be 9 to 10 minute mile. Because I didn't deal with T2 correctly, it ended up being anywhere between the range of 10 to 13 minute mile, along with constant cramping. Again, and I'll bring it up, I did not train, or was not as consistent as I would like to have been in training leading up to the half Ironman Boulder, but that's also mainly due to the reason I created this vlog, video documentary, I don't know what you want to call it, of my first video. In the first place, quitting video games just completely distracted me. Now for Santa Cruz, we're going to get on top of that, and I'm actually going to track everything for myself, see the consistency try to post it on a journal website and see how that goes. Just track everything for the next month, as well as leading to Ironman California in 2.5 months. So we'll see how that goes. Finishing up with the run, basically, like I said, kept up with nutrition and hydration, had no issues there, did not bonk, just a lot of cramping. I thought it was an issue with, it was due to electrolytes, but I've mainly chalked it down to my muscles just being too shocked to the fact that it has not been training for a complete triathlon style training. I've barely even done bricks over the past 2 months. So my muscles are just in shock, basically saying, what the hell are we doing? I didn't know we're still doing triathlons. So that's that. Overall, very great experience. Very good atmosphere. Not bad for slightly post, or we're still kind of in the pandemic. So not bad for restarting after COVID came around. Got a little smoky during the event. Not a little, actually got a lot of smoky. Really smoky during the event. AQI was in the red, but pretty manageable. Overall, very fun experience. Very excited to do Santa Cruz and see how improved the times is, and how improved my conditioning is, my nutrition, hydration, diet, just everything overall. So we'll see how that goes. Post more videos. Again, for now, this is just benefit to me, keep track of my triathlon journey. If anyone else is watching, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, shoot me a message, and I'll answer them to the best of my ability. I have no idea what the next video is, so until then, thanks for watching. And to myself, thanks for doing this video. Watch it again, and look at your notes. Let's kick Santa Cruz in the ass. Later.